So this is how it shaped out so far in terms of the table. Milan, they are at the top after all 3 points yesterday. Roma, 1 point behind them, could overtake them, of course, if they can beat Napoli today. Napoli is rounding out the top 4. Bologna and Como just in those European places. And Juventus, despite the win yesterday, they're still on the outside looking in. How do we feel about Inter then at this moment in time? Because obviously they've done well, haven't they, to get back up there, obviously, in the title race and not really on the verge of it. But it was a disappointing loss for them in the Champions League this week, Matteo. Are you feeling confident and happy with where Inter are sitting?
I think Inter is the best team in Serie A. I think they're the deepest team in Serie A. The only question mark over the summer, and I think the reason why we weren't that excited about them is twofold. I think it's the historic loss against PSG, the fact that they were going for a treble up until early April, and then they won nothing. And then that Christian Chivu came in with a dozen games of experience under his belt at Parma. So there was all these question marks for a team that every other season has pretty much been most of our picks to win the Scudetto. And now you look at a team that I see depth, I see quality, I see young players coming in to finally rejuvenate the team, even though I still think they should have bought a center back. But it's a team that can't get results against big teams. And whether it's the Derby della Madonnina record, where I think it's now 6 or 7 against Milan without a single win, the fact that they have dropped points against every big team they face against this season, it's the opposite of Milan's problem, where Milan can't get a win against the bottom team. So there's a few things that are inexplicable, yet I still think that on paper, Inter are the best and deepest team in Serie A.
On paper, quality-wise, I don't think I would disagree, but I still have the same feelings that I have with this Inter, where there's other teams in Serie A who show that hunger week in and week out, and who turn up in the big games. So I don't have any new takeaways from Inter. The fact that they, again, have not, it's 11 games, all competitions. They did not beat Juve, Napoli, or Milan. You didn't beat any of those 3 teams in 11 games in a row. That's a cause for concern when you want to play in those big moments. And when you want to do that, that's to win the Scudetto. That's to go far. And we see the Serie A table. There was 5 points that separate 1st and 7th place. 5 points. So there's so much competition in this league that if you slip up in any moment, there's somebody right there breathing down your neck. And you mentioned Milan,
hunger?
But there's also Napoli.
Just really quickly, Mike, you think that's hunger?
Yes.
I understand if you're dropping points against the small teams like Milan are, then you could say it's hunger because you're going down the level to your opposition. But you can't tell me these Inter players aren't turning up when they're facing the big team. Every
so
professional
why, if they're better on quality on paper, why do they not win those games?
Genuinely, I have no idea. But I'm not just going to say it's a hunger. I think that's an easy cop-out to say, it's hunger.
So give me a better reason.
These guys are showing up against the big teams.
No, they're not. You just said that they're not.
You're telling me that they're not. They're like, yeah, we're not hungry enough. This is the biggest. We're not hungry enough in 6 games of the Derby della Madonnina, where you've got 88,000 in San Siro. I understand if you're dropping points against Cremonese, you could say you didn't have enough hunger.
So if they're the best team in Italy on quality, why can you not win any of these games? Why does there have to be an
explanation for everything? I don't think it has an explanation.
There's a grit and a nastiness that's missing from their games. And I actually like what Chivu said after the Atletico game.
They press like crazy.
Yeah, there is.
Have you seen the way they press against Milan?
Chivu after the Atletico game said we need to be more mean. We're a little too nice. They're very predictable. They put the ball from side to side. They have no plan B. Those are all reasons why, for me, that's why they haven't been able to win as much as they should.
They do press. They press like crazy.
Just because you press
doesn't mean... That's hunger. Hunger means you work hard. They're working hard off the ball. It's being concentrated. It's being focused in every little moment. I don't buy the hunger stuff.
One thing that is going to give them this grit is Lautaro leading the Capocannoniere. Maybe this is a turning point for him as well, because he's really the one that Inter is looking to take the burden for this team and to show that fight and grit, right?
Yeah, I think I never used to like when managers would come into me after a game and say, or to the group if we were struggling and say, hey, we're not hungry enough, or hey, we're not working hard enough, because I think that's a cop-out. I think that's just another way to say you don't understand what's going on at these highest levels with the professionals and the talent levels and the organizations that they are. I think hunger is just a little bit of like too easy of a way out. For sure, I've said it myself, there's a softness to this Inter side. I think, like, if you want to look for examples, you have to look at Barella, who we have said, we're world class, is one of the best players ever. Disappears sometimes in the big moments. Bastoni. Bastoni can't play with 2 center backs because he's too soft. He doesn't want to defend. Struggles to be in the air. Not the quickest, right? There might be, instead of saying hunger, there might be an athleticism issue at Inter. There's one of the oldest teams in the league, right? Acerbi did the job today. But he looked like he was dead. Yeah. I mean, dead after 65 minutes. Like he looked like he had enough, and he was getting spun and he was getting done. And if you're Chivu in like today's game, for example, I don't know what you guys think about this. Like, you could look at that game in two ways. You could be like, clean sheet, got the job done on the road, and let's get out of here. We did a fantastic job. Or you could look at it, hey, through 69 minutes, we were pretty poor. Actually, Pisa were better than them through 69 minutes, and the two strikers for Pisa caused a lot more danger than the strikers of Inter. So it depends which way you want to look at it. I don't think Inter's performance was of the Inter standards today through 70 minutes. But then they do get the job done. So it depends which way you want to look at it.
If you were in the changing room as a player for Inter, would you be looking at it glass half full or half empty?
Half full, because of the amount of games that they have to play. You would say, hey, on the road, 2 points, let's get out of here. You can't sit and overanalyze every single game if you're Chivu or if you're Inter, your group. You're moving on already to the next thing. And obviously they're doing well in the Champions League and they have bigger fish to fry. So you have to keep it moving. You have to be able to forget quickly and keep it moving to the next thing. But hunger, for sure, there's a softness, right? But hunger is, I think, there's something else going on where the team is missing something. They're missing an athleticism and intensity, whether they're tired from the amount of games they played.
They don't have a dribbler on the entire starting 11.
I mean, hunger is a component to it, but it's not just that.
The teams that they lost the Scudetto to, for me, the big difference, it was that Napoli that was more hungry to win every single game. Was a battle, was a war.
They played half the amount of games.